Hello, welcome to the CEO AMA Ask Me Anything. I'm Sid Sijbrandij, co-founder and CEO at GitLab, and Prabhu Kalam. Thanks for the first question. Please verbalize it.
Yes, I said, so I had two questions in a row. So the first one is, what drives you to perform at your best in the daily life? And the follow-up question or the extension is, do you think if there is any meaning or purpose to this life, if any?
And Andy, please mute. Thanks for the two questions. They couldn't be further apart. First feels like a BuzzFeed article, and the second feels like a philosopher's article. Perform best. Let's see. I really love my pre-made meals. I had a thistle breakfast this morning, and yesterday it was a smoothie, which is my favorite. It's the easiest. Today it was something that I had to microwave for 2 minutes, and tomorrow it will probably be something I have to put in a pan for 2 minutes. But they're super easy and they're tasty and they're warm. And typically I have a salad and trifecta at night. So that's the food. I like to get up at the same time every day. I've been very lazy. It's been my 7 a.m. Normally it's 5:30. And I love our short meetings. I think it's almost inhumane not to have a 5-minute between meetings. We should almost start a campaign for that. Like, please have time between meetings. Short meetings, speedy meetings save my life or something like that. Second thing, any meaning or purpose to life? I don't believe there is. I think that's a very freeing thought. Really helps me be nicer to myself and be nicer to others, because there is no specific thing to achieve. I want to do, mostly it was, I want to do interesting things. I think now because of the success of GitLab, I think there's become another responsibility. And I'm working with Ellie on the North Star of the GitLab Foundation. And the North Star there is going to be to help people earn more per dollar spent, not because it's all about money, but because the more people earn, the more freedom they have to make choices and to do different things. David. David, we can't hear you. David isn't in the call. Leaky, can you verbalize his question?
Absolutely. How has the recent changes in crypto, FTX, and in generally a bearish market changed your view on building global income coin? It does not seem like Bitcoin and crypto are going anywhere, but the environment has certainly changed.
That's putting it mildly. This morning I read the testimony that SBF was planning to give in Congress. It was bizarre, to put it mildly, to read that. I got some other qualifications which I will not use on a public live stream, but that was, it seemed very far from reality. It certainly shows that there needs to be more accountability, and I think that the crypto always prides itself on doing things without a government. So I think it shows that some government intervention is needed, but also that companies really have to step up and show better accountability. There's some, this is not the place and time, but I think it's important to be accountable, and it's only gotten more important to be. And it's something I think that Jeff is very aligned on and doing a good job on. Tim.
Hey, thanks for having this Ask Me Anything. I was curious, has there been any discussion about making the CEO Shadow program go back in person at some point in time versus virtual? And then Secondarily, how has it being virtual versus in person impacted the program's accessibility for folks across the world?
Yeah, it's certainly something I think about. And I think to answer your question, I think it's become less accessible if you're not, if your time zone is very far away. Because if your time zone is far away, it means shifting your day to align with my calendar, and that can be very hard. Sometimes it's easier, or many times it's easier to take a plane to San Francisco, or the same time zone, but you might as well go to San Francisco and hang out in person a bit as well. So certainly made it less accessible now that it's not in person. Thorsten.
Yes, just to follow up also on that question, I'm in Europe and I'd like to participate at some point. And I love that it's also accessible remote, and I think it's fine to stay up late for 2 weeks to experience this. And to my question, so last week, a lot of us have been chatting with Chat GPT, and I just wanted to hear your perspective on that. Maybe it also relates to the other question that was asked earlier about the purpose of life and your goal to make people earn more money with the GitLab Foundation.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think Chat GPT is another example of like a very significant improvement of the state of art, and those improvements are following each other more rapidly. So it's almost exponential improvement at this point. So really impressive to see. Certainly shifting my perspective of, I already knew before it that AI was going to be a big deal, but it shifted it further, that it will be important sooner. And for GitLab, it's going to be important in two ways. First of all, making GitLab better by using AI, for example, reviewer suggestions. Second, making it easier for our customers to use AI and to integrate ML ops into GitLab. An example of that is the ability to run ML flow experiments and have them inform GitLab experiments. And thanks for sharing your perspective on the remote shadow program. And your last question was about the GitLab Foundation. So with the GitLab Foundation, we want to optimize lifetime income gain per dollar spent. And we don't know exactly how that looks. One thing that Ali came up with that I really like is accounting courses. I think it takes quite a while to become a programmer. Now it takes quite a while to become an accomplished accountant too. But I think that you can quickly increase your income by having some accounting proficiency. And I think that might be a faster path than, for example, coding and many other ways. So that might be something we'll explore. One thing we discussed at the board dinner yesterday is to maybe certify people who are doing online courses. For example, MIT has a great program of courses you can follow freely, but there's no certification for them. So maybe without pretending we're MIT, but maybe we can certify people in those courses and spend some time ourselves, maybe encourage our users to serve as examinators, if that's a word, and give these people a legitimate way to show they've understood all the knowledge. And I'd love people's feedback on that. Maybe someone can create a GitLab doc.
And these trainings and certifications, how do you think they will hold up against an AI that could do similar things? Do you think questions of my daughter, why should I study, or why should I figure out why a certain project, she's working on this homework project, why should I do it myself if the AI can do it, right? So
yeah, I think there's little use in doing something if the AI can do it. So we should just use the AI AI, just like we use a calculator today. I think it's really hard to predict what the AI will be useful in the future, until kind of text to image. Everyone said, oh, all the creative stuff, the AI will be really bad in it. And then we had text to image, and it's like, wow, AI will be good in that too. So I would almost disregard it because we're so bad at predicting it. And as for what you should, what is interesting to explore is kind of an overlap in what you're good in, what you enjoy doing, and what is valued in the market.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brendan.
Good. Yeah, so I had a question. I've been here a while with you, and we've been, had our eyes set on becoming a public company when we were private. And so it's something you thought about a lot, I'm sure. But I'm wondering what has surprised you the most now that we have been for, over a year, either about the company or about your role now that we're public.
Yeah, thanks. I think it was our 5th quarter that we just announced. And what has been surprising is that it's been relatively non-eventful. And I think that is hugely thanks to a great G&A team. So the people in finance, people in legal, they have the biggest amount of change to handle, and they've been amazing at that. And that meant I didn't have to do a lot. I think now that we're public, I think what's surprising is that there's we don't, Chris, your mic's open, that there's not, we don't need to be less opinionated. In fact, I think there's value to being more opinionated. For example, recently I talked about Zoom to Zoo. Just in this call, we talked about how breaks in between meetings and speedy meetings should almost be, I hesitate to call it a right, but we should almost campaign for them because they're very useful. I think we can be a bit more opinionated as a company and pushing those things. David Astor.
Hey, Sid, good to see you again. Holidays are coming up. Cast your mind back. What was your favorite toy you received for the holidays when you were growing up?
It wasn't for the holidays because Dutch people love saving money, and Dutch tax authorities, God bless them, decided to make it tax deductible to buy a computer for your home. So finally, my dad bought a computer. Before I was programming, but I was writing it out by hand. I later discovered that I was making 3 programming errors per line of code, which is quite a lot. So finally, we had a computer. It was, to date myself, it was a 386 DX4. So it had the coprocessor.
36.
It had
Thanks,
8
Dave.
memory slots. And John, your mic is open, of 1 megabyte each. And my neighbor already had the 486, but still, we had a computer. It had internet via coax cable later on. It had a sound blaster later on. It was glorious. Nima.
So thank you for holding the AMA. Just really quickly, I know we're growing the company pretty fast. We're going to be above 2,000 team members pretty soon. Are there any structural or cultural changes you think we should make just to help us maintain the values that have made us so unique among our contemporaries? And then anything specifically that you think we should either start doing or stop doing, such as having 2,000 people do GitLab contribute in person?
Exactly. Yeah, without endorsing any forward-looking statements, I think it's really important to keep reinforcing our values. And Marco, your mic's open. I think what would be best is that if people could kind of tell each other, like, hey, this is not how we work here. Because I see multiple situations where there's people in the meeting that know, like, hey, that's not how we run an agenda. That's not how we do this. That's not how we do that. But they don't speak up. They don't inform the other person. And I think that's something we should start doing. Joe.
I saw your recent post on teaching a class at Stanford. How was your experience teaching that team ops course in a classroom setting? And were there any takeaways from the students?
It's a great question. I'm not sure I did a great job. I'll let, as Darren is in the call, you can talk about that. He might have seen the lecture. It was part of a bigger lecture. I didn't hear it resonate as much as other things in the afterwards. And maybe my co-host can help in muting people that are not able to do so.
I lost the capability, I think, when my co-host got taken. I'm gonna give
Okay.
it back to me.
I wanted to make myself host, didn't want to take away from you. So I'll make you co-host now. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see if Darren's in the call. He is not. So Brad, next question.
Hey Sid, what was your favorite academic subject in school?
Thanks for asking. I once got almost disciplined in music class because the teacher thought I was intentionally messing up. And I can assure you, I was trying my darn best, but I was just so bad at it. It's been fun taking singing lessons recently. That doesn't mean I'm good. It just means I enjoy trying to learn it from scratch again. I think one of my favorite subject was physics, just because it felt so logical and kind of everything kind of fit together and built upon itself. And I think I made the major mistake of assuming that because that was true in high school, it would be true in university. And it's not. It's you go from kind of classical Newtonian mechanics to quantum theory and the rest, and that means you lose all intuition. Like there's no intuition anymore. They're just math, and lots of math, and especially the first 3 years of physics is just math. Math is something I don't have any intuition for, so that was an uphill for me, and I switched to management science, which was a combination between kind of MBA kind of stuff and some engineering introductions into every different engineering discipline. So that was a lot of fun. Sarah, you're unmuted. Wayne.
So, if you were going to switch from Twitter to something else, what might you choose? Mastodon, something else?
Yeah, that would be super cool to say, Mastodon. I think it's really hard to use. I'm super interested in federated solutions. I think they're super cool. Except I think they're super not usable right now. The federated solution I'm most excited about is Matrix. It's an alternative to Slack more than for Twitter. I think that team behind that is really great. And I think they're making a lot of progress, but its usability is still very hard. I would switch to Reddit. In fact, if I look at the hours spent, I've already switched to Reddit. And I expected a lot of negativity on Reddit, but I think they do a great job in moderating or surfacing. I don't know, but I found a lot of positivity there. Also, YouTube comments on the videos I watch are always really positive. So not sure I just watch strange videos or what's up there, but it's also been a welcoming place. Any other questions? Jason, feel free to speak up, and someone said something.
Yeah, I can't edit the doc, but I do have a question. I posted this in Slack yesterday, Sid, but since I'm here, I figured I'll ask it now. I just finished a book by Adam Grant. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he talks a lot about, the book is called Think Again, and it's about like challenging the way that we think and the way that we change the way we think. And he talked about how Amazon, for example, uses disagree, commit to build a learning culture, which I thought like really relates well to our value of iteration. And I've also heard you say a lot that you have strong opinions weakly held. So I was wondering if you've been a part of a conversation lately where disagree, commit helped you learn something new. And maybe if not lately, if you have like a past example of it.
Yeah, thanks for asking. That's great. We have an operating principle listed on our values page that's disagree, commit, and disagree. So that's kind of inspired by that Amazon value. It's great to do disagree and commit, because it's not so much about the commit, although that's important. It's about the disagree part that happens too little in organizations on average. But I think what we also want to do is give people the freedom to keep disagreeing. And the most famous example is Camille disagreeing. Camille proposed that we combine GitLab source control and GitLab CI in a single application. I'm not sure that was a disagreement, but at least it was a proposal. And Dimitri and I were immediately dismissive. Like, the marketplace doesn't want that. The marketplace wants separate things. Dimitri was like, that's not the architecture. We should be like Unix, combine many small things. So we were kind of hard pass out of the gate. And he complied. He didn't push it. He complied with like what we said, but he kept advocating for it. And there's other decisions at GitLab where someone disagrees. We say, no, we stay the course. We keep doing what we're doing. And that person like walks with us. We stay the course, but they keep arguing for their point of view. I think that the important thing is that you split like what you do and what you argue for. And I think a lot of people can't make that difference. They'll keep arguing for something and not really executing on the alternative way. But if you can move yourself to keep executing on the thing we all agree with, you can keep advocating for your point of view, and we can revisit it. No decision is final. We're always in draft, and that's where that disagree, commit, and disagree operating principle came from.
Sid, I think that's a great value. And a follow-on question to that, as a receiver of that disagreement, do you have any tips on how to not interpret that as combative?
Yeah, that takes kind of two to tango. I think one of the most important things is credit. That's what our values spell out. So assume good intent. I can think of a negative way to do that. So suppose we're arguing about the color of a bike shed, and it's like, you always favor red for everything just because it's or you always favor orange for everything just because it's your country of origin color. That'd be a way to question intent. And then the way to kind of do that back in the wrong way is like, you are always rooting against my soccer team anyway, so let's make it orange. In this case, maybe the first person made it orange because that's a ground paint and it's cheaper to do it that way. And the second person argued for making it blue because it better fits with our logo and house style. And yeah, as soon as if you cross kind of asking questions and you start questioning intent, you lose a ton. So that's why our values spell that out. Happy World Cup, everyone. Thanks for the AMA.